CBC News has learned thousands of reports of injuries and complications tied to breast implants have not been properly flagged to Health Canada. Implant manufacturers turned over the old data in a 2019 data dump. Health Canada says they should have been disclosed years ago. CBC's senior data journalist Valérie Roulette is with me from Toronto this morning. She has been investigating this, and let's go through that process. How did you learn about this data dump, Valérie, and what did you do with the information?
Well, Heather, we weren't planning for it, to be honest. I was initially wanting to file an update to our investigation, the implant files, which aired in 2018 and looked specifically into faulty medical devices, including breast implants. And after that investigation aired in 2018, Health Canada had announced changes, including committing to making these reports of deaths, serious injuries, and complications related to medical devices publicly available. So I dug back into the data 3 years later, and I was very surprised when I looked at reports related to breast implants. You could see here the spikes are very dramatic. I could see over 7,000 reports filed in 2019 and identified that these dumps had happened over 3 specific days, and they were all reports that had been submitted by manufacturers Johnson & Johnson's affiliate Mentor and Allergan. And when I dug a little deeper, I found that reports were actually old. Some of them were actually 20 years old. So what you're seeing right now on your screen are the years at which the manufacturers first received these reports. And the majority of them are classified as injuries. So according to federal regulations, these should have been reported years ago. They actually should be reported within 10 days of a manufacturer first receiving it.
But they weren't, as you have learned in analyzing the data. So what does this mean for Canadians who got those implants?
Well, that was my initial question as well. So I showed my data analysis, including the names of these implants and also the problems flagged to BC plastic surgeon Peter Lennox. He's had a practice for 20 years, but even more importantly, he was one of the first surgeons in Canada to compile detailed data on Canadians diagnosed with a rare cancer tied to textured breast implants. So he is experienced at looking at specific data and also evaluating the risks that could be linked to new products coming on the market. So he looked at the data and told me that the majority of the problems, they were tied to saline implants that had burst or leaked and that needed revision or removal surgeries. So he says that doesn't pose a big risk to patients. This is really important as a takeaway, Heather. So he says it's a known issue for saline implants and that patients are already informed that that is a complication that could happen to them prior to them getting the surgery. He doesn't see this new information as showing that patients with breast implants are at an increased risk or that a new implant could be harming them. But what really caught his attention was the sheer volume of this dump and the reporting delays. Here's what he had to say.
Of a violation of trust. I mean, I use those devices with the expectation that the sort of processes that are in place are going to be followed. So if I report a ruptured implant to a manufacturer, I would expect that that manufacturer would report that to Health Canada. So it's not a great, finding out this information is not a great, not set up a great, not great for the relationship between surgeons and implant manufacturers.
So that is the doctor's reaction, Valérie. I know you've spoken to many people, Health Canada, manufacturers. What are they all saying about this too?
Well, Health Canada gave us a little bit more information on the backstory that came before this data dump. And this is really interesting. They said that they first noticed that breast implant incidents were underreported in late 2017 and that they were so concerned by what they found that they actually launched an inspection into Allergan and Johnson & Johnson's affiliate Mentor. And that led a year later to the discovery of these 5,900 of what they call retroactive reports. So in Health Canada's words, and that was confirmed to us, these reports were reportable under the federal regulations, but they had never been submitted. And we also asked manufacturers for comments of this on this, of course. So Allergan declined to comment, but Mentor told us that it has been and remains transparent and fully compliant with Health Canada regulations.
Valérie, thank you so much. Valérie Ouellette, our senior data investigative journalist, and she is in Toronto this morning. There is more to read about this investigation up on our website for you today. CBC News exclusive right on the front page, CBCNews.ca.